Hi, this is Brian McHenry, McHenry Software. We're going to do a quick demonstration of creating a simulation where one of the wheels or more than one of the wheels comes off. In this presentation will just be a quick run through of starting from scratch, just so it adds a few more things you might not have known, etc. Like the background, you notice we have a sky behind there. A couple other items. So here we go. First item we do is we're going to say New Project. Go up to the upper left. New project. We'll just call this wheel change. Now we want to pick a couple cars. So the first one we pick is we'll go down here and pick a BMW 5 Series. And the weights, everything, you know, again, I would double check on this, but I'm just to keep this moving really fast. Go out and check vehicle specs, or you can pull them from another vehicle. And for the other vehicle, let's go ahead and put a Ford Escape. And we put in the weight for that too. Now, so then we just go ahead and finish. Now the other question, first thing is, you notice the tire marks. I always recommend, and we may change the default, but currently we'll just change it to skid only. And we'll make, for vehicle 2, we'll make gray. And for vehicle 1, again, you hit the skid here. Make it skid only. Let's make those black. Now, the next thing we want to do is bring in the background. You have all these options for grounds. You can bring in a plain color, terrain from image, terrain from map, DXF file. I'd gone out and gotten a DXF file, but then I found one, or I actually grabbed that and pulled all the vehicles out, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that image. So we go terrain from image, and we go out to images, msoft images, and then down here is intersection. You notice it, this may be in the distro or others, but then you bring that in, and the next thing you want to do is you click on image drape, and we want to go to set size from points on image. And in this one, because I got it from Google Maps, you notice basically any cars, I went and grabbed a piece of gray with a program like Snagit and moved it over to cover up. So you have no cars on the scene. Very quick and easy way to do it. But then I also, because it was a Google Maps, it has the approximation of the scale. So I just went and I go click here, click there, and it comes out, it says 16.8. We want to make that 20. Now let's go to an overhead. Now if we take this vehicle, which is vehicle 2, and you click over here on initial position, we can then grab it, move it up to about here. Take this vehicle, move him over here with a slight angle, and let's put his speed over here at about 10. We'll put this vehicle's speed at 65. So we want to do enough to cause damage to have, let's just say, the wheels separate on each of the vehicles. So now we run it. Oh, you see we missed. So we go back, take this and move it. Matter of fact, let's see which lane. Yeah, he's in about the lane, so let's just move him over. And you can actually grab him and move him, or you can use the little arrows over here to the right. You see I'm just moving that. I can move him. We'll try moving him over 2. I want to hit with a little overlap so that they actually rotate, so we can see a little dynamics and see the differences due to the different drags. Well, again, I got to do it again. So, I think I want to actually have it rotate a little bit more. So we're going to make a little less of an overlap. So he hopefully spins out. So let's go ahead and put him. So instead of 1, let's move it to minus 0.5. So you can manually type it in there too. So it's another 6 inches of overlap. Because I'd like to see this vehicle spin out. We're going to go ahead and change the colors on those vehicles too. Let's change his color to. We go ahead and close that. And then you see the color over here, edit model color. And we'll change that to a blue. Okay. Now we go ahead and let's see how that looks. There we go. The main point of this is you see how the two tires are sticking out now. Let's go ahead and go down. So that's the overhead. Well, let's change that so we get this impact to rest and overhead. And then you click the little left here. Now we're going to use this, which is a ground level. Let's start them at the beginning. And then let's see where they go to the end. Because we want to include everything in there. There we go. So if we go and set that the image, now we can watch that. See, that's with the tires. Let's go ahead just as a baseline. We're going to create a quick movie of that. So we go to the overhead and we say delete prior ones, and let's just create a, this is again with the tires intact. And let's go down to the ground level. We say append. So now let's go ahead and let's work with changing that. So what are the items you do? First item you do is you click on each vehicle and you click on these structural nodes. And you notice the structural nodes are set to just the defaults for vehicle type. And if you look at the vehicle and node you see, or just node, you see that there's not many points on there. So what we're going to do, because when it drops down we want to have a good definition of the undercarriage, we set it to structural nodes, and we'll set it to every half foot. And then we also want to add a wheel guard, and that just adds a wheel fix node to the rim to represent the rim. We say okay, create. You notice it creates 1296 for that one. And we go over here and we click again the structural node option, and we set the default as is 1 foot. We're going to set it to half a foot. Now if we look at each vehicle, you see that vehicle and node, there's a lot more nodes, and there's the nodes. You see, it's a better definition of that undercarriage. Now the next thing we need to do is we set for the undercarriage what is the friction multiplier, and that's the items on card 81. And if you hit F1, you see that brings up a help file that tells you about it. But you notice the HP mu, it's a vehicle multiplier, so the nominal friction is set 0.75, and so we're going to leave it at 0.75. Let's just say that there was gouging on the road or something, so that we then make the friction multiplier 1, which keeps it at 0.75. Generally it's 0.4 to 0.6 is what metal on road is, and so we would just change that multiplier to make it so that 0.75 times that multiplier would give us 0.6 or 0.5, and that would be a 0.6. But for right now we'll leave this as 1. But then we also have to, and we're going to go ahead and cancel out of here, we haven't changed anything. We're going to go to insert the cards for the change. We have to go out to the classic M-Edit. And we go click classic M-Edit. This is how we used to start up, but now we just use this for some utilities we still haven't implemented in 3D. Soon everything will be in the 3D graphics. So from this we go ahead and we want to insert with helper. And we go down to card 302. You notice there is a 302. Number 1 is tire radius change, and then tire multiplier change, meaning you can change the friction of that and the radius. We're just going to change the radius. So we click on that and it inserts it. Another way you can insert those is just on this card here, 302, but for vehicle 2, it's going to be 322. So we manually insert that. Now we have each of those cards, and we can do the editing back in the other one, but this is just to insert those cards, and we say back to graphics. So before we edit the card to add those changes, we need to know what time was impact, so what time do we think that tire separated from the car. So we go up to our view output files, run summary, and you see the impact's 0.313, so probably separation 0.413. So let's say about 0.38, 39 was when the tire separated. There may be evidence in the road where you can see where the tire mark ends, and that might give you an indication, etc. But for now, we'll just use 0.39. So we go out to our inputs here, and it's going to be the left front. So you notice the right front, if we hit F1 on this again, and this is a 3.2 option for these additional help files. It works in your prior versions too. It's just we hadn't documented this yet. But you see there's a T change, and then the radius for right front, right rear, left rear. So we go ahead. It's also indicated when you click on the field. So this says change the left front. So we want that 0.38. And let's just change that radius down to about 4 inches, meaning the hub. And the other thing is we want to change for vehicle 2 also. We'll change, same change. Now we've got the friction multiplier. We've got the change in the radius. Now one other thing to consider is what is the node stiffness. The default stiffness assumes you're using that original one, so I would recommend you change that node stiffness to about 500 per node. So we change that to approximately 500. So now we go ahead and rerun it. Play it. It's quite a different trajectory because of the fact that there's no tire there and it's just scraping on the undercarriage. And that is with a friction of 0.75 for that contact. Let's go ahead and do an overhead of that. So you click here, and we click on we want to append still. We're not going to delete, so we go ahead and say right. And then we're going to go down to ground level. Oh, one thing on the ground level, let me just bring that in for this one, is there's an option called Billboard. If you go to add other model, which is you can add other cars in the scene, etc., or other objects. We have poles and etc. But if we go add other model, billboards, out in the subdirectory there may be, or if you just have a side view, we'll just grab one of these, and let's just make this about 250 feet wide. See how that brings in a image there. Now first we can always change on settings on light. We can change that light so you can see it better. Let's go ahead and change the angle. There we go. But now we want to move that back, because let's go ahead to the start here. You see how the cars are out of field of view. So let's put this at, first we'll find out which one is to move it back. Nope, that's to move it left and right. So let's move this to 100. And you see the other vehicle. Let's make it about 125. And then we want to drop the elevation. You see how you can see a car top there? And this is just to give a background so it doesn't, it looks like it's what your scene is if you have an actual scene view. And now you see when we run this, now we're going to go ahead and create again frames. So we append again. So we write. And now for our last one, let's go ahead and change that friction to the main default it is. Now if it's 0.75 for the ground, so that would be about 0.6 for these instead of 1. And we leave everything else the same. And now we go ahead and rerun. See the slight difference? We'll put them all side to side in a moment, and that's what you actually, we'll have that running after this. I use a program called Camtasia where you can grab different videos and show and shrink them and do whatever to show multiple views and direct comparisons. So let's go ahead and we're going to first do the overhead. Again, append instead of create that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the ground level. Again, append. And now to create a movie, you click on the Write Movie from Bitmap file, which is right next to that one. And we write movie, and then it wants to know where do you want to put it. And let's go ahead and I'm going to put this in videos, embedded videos, and this is, what do we call this? Wheel change. So that then I can grab it and post it up if I need to. There we go. And one note, while that's running sometimes, you'll see that it may gray and look like it's stopped. Just give it time. If it's more than like 700 frames, it sometimes has an issue. We're working on that. We'll fix it, but it will work, and it comes up with the same thing at the end when you get like 700 or 1,000 frames. Then you say OK. And now you're seeing the comparison of the 3 runs we did. One with tires, one with the friction of 0.75 at the wheels, and one with the friction of 0.5 at the left front wheel of each vehicle. And we walked through the steps. The main thing you want to do is first make sure you use the node option for the hard points or nodes so that you have a definition of the vehicle undercarriage. Then set the coefficient of friction multiplier for those nodes of what you think the ground is, and obviously you can vary that. Set the stiffness, which is set on that card 83 for the nodes, and then go out to the grid real fast and insert those cards 302-1, and if it's for vehicle 2 also 322 sequence 1. Then come back, edit those, or you can edit them in the grid and change those to what time. Go ahead and look at the vehicle output to see what time did the vehicles hit, and then set this to some time after that. Or if you have some point of evidence on the roadway where it looks like a tire separated, like there's a tire mark and it all of a sudden disappears and a scrape starts, that would be a good indication. And then you go ahead and run it. And that's a quick way to be able to simulate a wheel separating from a vehicle. Thank you for watching.